Good afternoon, Transpac race fans. This is Dobbs Davis with our 9 July analysis of the Trans-Pacific Race to Hawaii, 49th edition here in 2017. It is 4 o'clock here on the east coast of the U.S., 1 o'clock in the Pacific, and a little earlier in Hawaii. We had just tried to have a conference call with the guys on Comanche. Unfortunately, they didn't call in when they were expected to, so hopefully all is well out there. No real cause for concern because using our tracker we can see they're still bombing along pretty fast, 18.8 knots. Now that is less than what we saw in this analysis broadcast 24 hours ago when they were well over 20, but I've been watching it a little bit. They're in the high teens, a little less than the low 20s like they were, so indicates the winds may be dropping off a little bit. The other thing to see, and we'll zoom in a little bit here, is just how the tracks have changed. You can see that they've jibed over, so the wind's gone aft enough, and navigator Stan Honey is deciding to stay away from this zone up here of less wind. This is the split high pressure center that everybody's been talking about this race. They're trying to stay south to avoid that, to stay in the pressure and not stray up here toward the rum line. I've told them that by email that they can call in when they can, and maybe we can get some flavor of what's going on board. Meanwhile, those further aft in the pack, as you can see, still more or less straight line tracks to Hawaii. They haven't been lifted quite yet, and you can see a tremendous convergence here where the first day's Monday starters represented here. Dark Star is one of them, in fact. Hobie 33, one of the smallest boats in the fleet, in fact. They're still going along pretty well, 8.5 knots. This is a team from Calgary in Alberta. A long way to go to do the Transpac, but they're doing well. So they've got 1,200 miles to go. They did a 200-mile 24 hours, which is generally pretty good for boats of that size, and that's why they've got a crown. They are leading their class in corrected time. Locomotive, another boat, Larry Andrews Summit 40, they've been doing well all along. Now, remember what I said last time, that the crowns tend to be on boats that are first in their classes, or certainly up toward the front row in their classes that are further north, further towards the rum line, which simply means they have less distance to get to Hawaii. But as the wind shifts, that may change, or if they stray too far north, it might get a little lighter. There is, if I can find Varuna down here, they had an interesting story on their blog last night where they were being passed. Here we are. They don't have a crown anymore, but nonetheless, they are doing pretty well. They were proud of the fact that they got passed very close by the 200-footers, Comanche and Rio. So that they like that because that validated their strategy to stay south. They figured that the Rio guys and the Comanche guys are quite good, and so they like that as a validation of their strategy. Anyway, Chris Hemmons and his team, he has his 14-year-old daughter with him, Gray Hemmons, one of the younger Transpac racers this year. There's another young Transpac racer that is on Between the Sheets. Let's see if we can find where they are. Yeah, so they're not too far away. That's Ross Perlman's boat. It's a nice, big, comfortable Jeanneau. They were one of the starters on Monday. So everybody seems to be moving along. A little worried out here by the Russians straying pretty far south here. This is a Grand Mistral 80-foot boat. This was from the 1990s when a guy named Pierre Fellman from Switzerland was trying to create a one-design class of what at the time were 80-foot maxis to do races around the world. They didn't quite get that far, but they did have a class and did some races around Europe and elsewhere. This boat is a remnant of that fleet. But as we can see, they're quite far south, so maybe that has to do with their sail plans, what they have. I know they have a limited inventory of sails, not quite as generous as some of the other boats. But these guys in here are probably just getting spinnakers up, reaching spinnakers. and bombing along. I was reading the blog here from the Canadian guys on Kinetic. They were finally getting into their spinnakers out of their reaching sails and knocking off some pretty high speeds. Right now, 12.6 knots, not particularly fast for a TP52. Again, it could be just, in this snapshot from the tracker, they got in a lull of some sort. But anyway, they'll shift gears and start picking up speed. I think certainly expect that. OEX is also down here. John Sangmeister's turbocharged Santa Cruz 70. They are hanging low in this route, again, probably in search of more breeze. Some of the guys that they're against, like Pyewacket up here, they have the crown because they are just sailing less distance at about the same speed. So their strategy, obviously, a little more confident that they don't have to go so far south to find breeze. Now, what happens? How do we know what's going to happen in the future? This, as I may have discussed the other day, this wind model is based on what's called the Windy TV model. That's a commercial product that is I think it's all based on what's called the ECMWF. It's the Euro Center for Medium Range Weather Forecasting. That's been a quite accurate model that I was told by some weather guys has been updated a little bit more regularly than some of the US-based models. The chief one being GFS. Now, maybe GFS has had some recent upgrades where it's as good. The other models, if you care to play around with them a little bit, is this one, the Predict Wind. Predict Wind says that they are a combination of the Euro model along with GFS and maybe even some of their own proprietary modeling that they do. This one's is interesting. The little wind barbs here give on the grid give the predicted wind speed and direction. So as you can see, you get further north and the blue arrows, the wind gets down at 9, 10, 8 knots. Further south, you're up in the 15s. Now, this model toggles forward in time on 3-hour slices. So you can play with that and see how the arrows change in color and direction. I've been just looking at this Euro model because it's pretty good. It's good graphically. We'll zoom out and have a look at some overall patterns here, and some things that might influence the way we see the boats in the next couple of days and what they do. Clearly, there are people that have committed to stay south. Why have they done that? And it has to do with what they think is going to happen in the future. So here we are on the 9th of July, 10 o'clock Hawaiian time. If we go forward 24 hours and look to see what the model says, breeze still looks pretty strong, doesn't it? It still looks like it's pretty good pressure, more or less same direction. The classic Transpac arch is to sag south, and then as you get lifted to stay on starboard, cross the rum line actually, and then figure out when to jibe back in toward the islands. That's a classic loop pattern. We'll see if people do that. Now, obviously, Comanche and the Trimarans have elected not to do that. They don't want to get up near the rum line. They want to stay south because they think the breeze is stronger there. If we go forward let's go to 11 and go to the same time. So this is what the model thinks 48 hours from now on the 11th of July. More or less the same pattern, not any big changes in breeze. But if we go to the 12th, I think we start seeing some things happening. Where here we are. No, it doesn't actually. I was looking at a hole over here, a little bit of a feature that was showing up there in the modeling, but then now is dissipated. I think things start to get sticky when you go up toward the 13th. And again, these models obviously are a lot less certain. Yeah, here we go. This is what could trap some of the smaller, slower boats, is this drop in velocity on the 13th. Certainly up through the 12th, according to the Euro model, the breeze looks pretty strong. So the boats that are faster, that are going to be approaching the islands and final approach on those days, which will include certainly these guys in the front, maybe maybe even some of the lead guys. Where are the 52s? 52s are back in the pack in here. Don't know if they'll get there quite that early, but this is a possible danger, a possible roadblock is on the 13th of July with the wind getting lighter. We'll see how that develops, if that remains a feature or not. Only time will tell, and we'll get clearer every day, certainly as we go forward. One other note I wanted to make was an email from my good buddy Robbie Haynes. There's a misquote in our news item of the record being set at 484 miles by Comanche yesterday, eclipsing the previous record by Alfa Romeo. In fact, Robbie's corrected us and said that it was Wild Oats in the last race in 2015 that had a 24-hour run that was 453 miles. So apologies to Robbie and the Wild Oats team. They did have a very good day in that race in 2015, which is, most of us remember, then kind of went sideways with a lot of light air, but they at least had one very fine run. So we'll make that correction on the website. All right, that's all I have for now. Let's keep an eye on these leaders here. The Mighty Merlot still ahead of the two Mod 70s. Lots of jibing going on down here. This is a real dogfight amongst these teams. Actually, I'll bring it back to current weather. There we go. So, yeah, this is going to be quite interesting to watch these three. We'll also keep an eye on Comanche. Now, at 18.8 knots, and with the velocity pointing toward Hawaii, starting to go down a little bit, it's going to be close with record time. And Stan knows that, the team knows that. I'm sure they're pushing hard, trying to get every ounce of speed they can out of the boat, getting to Hawaii. So let's keep pulling for them. All right, so that's what we have for now for today, the 9th of July. I'm Dobbs Davis signing off for now, and I hope you can join us again tomorrow.